muchachos, ya yo di la instrucción en el camerino. Vamos a hacer una pelea limpia y que ganemos. Fuerte. Dios los bendiga. Vamos.
So a terrific looking co-feature here between Juan Carrillo and Lenin Castillo. Juan Carrillo, Al, really trying to establish himself as part of that chase pack who are hunting down Artur Beterbiev at the top of this division.
Yeah, he is hoping to make a statement in this fight. Of course, Castillo had gone the distance with Dimitri Bivol. He would like to create a knockout and show a difference and show that he belongs in the upper echelon of this division.
It's round one underway. This one's scheduled for 10. And Juan Carrillo, in our fighter meetings, Raul, told us that he wants to surprise Castillo and come out hot. He wants to come out throwing hard shots.
Yeah, that's what he said so far out of the southpaw stance. Trying to establish that jab. You know, he's got to be careful when he says that he wants to get that respect and start fast. He means that, but I mean, with a guy that's a veteran like Castillo, you just can't rush things. But you do see Carrillo on the attack coming forward.
We mentioned that win that Castillo scored last time out, that 6-round unanimous decision over Reynaldo Acevedo. That was in July of this year. Acevedo was 2-1-1, and losing rounds to a 2-1-1 fighter in a bounce-back fight at Coco Locos doesn't always inspire confidence.
Yeah, they admitted he wasn't prepared for that fight. His normal trainer wasn't with him. And I think the better fight to look at was the fight a little less than a year ago against Ramirez, in which he fought very, very well in that fight and lost a pretty close decision. And fought very well in the later rounds especially. Now they're hoping he can duplicate that effort.
Yeah, Albert Ramirez, a legit top 10, 175-pounder right now. So Castillo jumping right back into the fire here tonight.
And Castillo has to be busier. The key for him is he just has lulls in fights where he just doesn't punch. And we've seen a little of that here in round one. There, when he is aggressive and offensive, he's a tough guy to deal with.
And it works. You saw Castillo let some punches go, and he pushed him back, but he needs to be more consistent with that because he pulled back after that. He took a step back, and then he's letting Carrillo take the initiative.
And they want to see how Carrillo does on his back foot in this fight.
Carrillo very focused. I like the way he's throwing that jab, and I love the way he throws his left hand. He changes the direction of his left hand. He throws it to the body. He throws it over the top. He throws it like a straight left hand. It's never the same left hand. And, you know, he's dissecting with the jab. He's popping it down, up and down to prepare that left hand. See, that's what we're talking about. Castillo, he lets some shots go, but then he waits. He needs more activity. I think he's naturally the stronger guy in there, the more experienced guy. He needs to push him back. He needs to push Carrillo back.
So Carrillo flashing some hand speed here in the closing moments of round one. And a nice left hand to the body there from Carrillo will likely be the last word from round one. So round two underway. Juan Carrillo and Lenin Castillo here in our co-feature. And Lenin Castillo coming out on the front foot. He said he wanted to push Carrillo back. He's doing that, at least in the opening 20 seconds of this round.
And he's being successful at doing it. Nice jab, body shots there. by Castillo has Carrillo on the ropes. He needs to keep him there, punish him there. He needs to hit him everywhere, hit him on the arms, hit him on the stomach. Wherever the punches land, he needs to wear him down.
Carrillo, and it was most important waiting against Richard Van Sicklen, a very close fight. He got off to a really good start in the first 3 or 4 rounds, and that's what he wanted to do here, and now he's coming back in this round against Castillo.
Nice uppercut broke the guard of Castillo there a moment ago. And Carrillo really just stalks you with a kind of quiet confidence that a true puncher has, Raul. He's very, very relaxed as he's walking Castillo down.
Yeah, I like the way he slides, very smooth with his jab. His feet move together with his combinations. You know, he throws his jab, he throws the overhand left. And, you know, he needs to try to hit the gloves to Castillo to open up that guard, because Castillo, you see him covering up pretty well, that frame, you know, winky ride, Arthur Abraham defense. So you got to open up that defense to land the big shots.
Jax Rivera, the trainer for Castillo, said they think of Carrillo as a one-punch fighter with the straight left hand, but I disagree with that, because I think Carrillo, he knocked down Rankin with 2 uppercuts in his last fight, and he's showing us good body work with the right hook as well.
Carrillo coming over the top of the left hand there a moment ago, now digging to the body.
And remember back a couple minutes ago with that great beginning of the round to Castillo, and then Carrillo just took over.
Well, Carrillo is definitely busier with the jab, even though sometimes it doesn't touch Castillo, but it's enough to maintain and control that distance and him able to land those left hands.
We're seeing a little bit of offensive creativity here from Carrillo, and of course he has a fighter in Castillo who's kind of shelling up, who's giving him that opportunity, but Carrillo clearly believes in his hand speed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he needs to put combinations together. I think he's a little bit tight right now, Corey. You know, it's the second round. He needs to loosen up a little bit, put his combinations together. He's loaded up too much. If he slows it down and just lets the punches flow, I think he'll be more successful. Oh, like that shot right there.
Straight left hand right down the pipe there from Carrillo. And that'll do it for round 2.
And Carrillo, I mean, Castillo took that shot very well.
Well, November 16th, Riyadh Season presents Latino Night, headlined by Zurdo Ramirez and Chris Billiam-Smith, in a highly anticipated cruiserweight unification fight. Again, that's November 16th, live here on DAZN.
There was, in the last round, Carrillo, you talked about him getting a lot of offensive work done. Here on the inside, he couldn't really get it going, but there's the straight left hand. That was right toward the end of the last round when he started with the right hand and then that good straight left, which of course is one of his signature punches.
That left hand was fast and explosive, and you know, it's the punches you don't see, Corey, and it landed, and trust me, Castillo felt it.
Round 3 underway. Well, Castillo historically has been quite durable. He's one of the go-to sparring partners for Artur Beterbiev because of that. The one glaring exception, of course, being that really frightening knockout loss at the hands of Callum Smith, where, frankly, we didn't know whether we would see Castillo in a ring again.
Yeah, that was rough. And, you know, you mentioned Beterbiev. He's one of the few sparring partners that didn't get knocked down by Beterbiev. And early in this round, the body work of Carrillo, which we saw earlier in that first round especially, has now resurfaced.
That's the combinations that I'm talking about, fast and explosive. It opens up, you know, he's setting traps by doing that too. 3 and 4 punch combinations. Now he's starting to pick. Now he's starting to pick. He's getting in the flow. I feel like Carrillo's getting more in the flow of the fight.
Castillo trying to be a little bit more assertive with his jab here. We're starting to kind of fall into a pattern here, Raul, where Carrillo is at a range where Castillo can't touch him, but he can just kind of run numbers as he pleases.
Yeah, you're right. I was about to say that. I feel like Castillo's got to be a little bit more faster with his footwork. He's too flat-footed. It's like he's stuck in sand. You know, he's got to be more on his toes to cut that range and jab more. He's not jabbing. He's just covering up. He's trying to land one single shot. You see how far off distance he is. He needs more faster jabs, quicker on his feet to close that gap. Once he gets in there, go to work and keep pushing him back.
The other punch that Castillo's very good at landing is the counter left hook. And he hasn't been able to put himself in position where he can do that effectively.
Well, to that point, I think that the more that Castillo jabs, the more likely that left hook is going to land like
and
that.
And there it is. Well, there you go. Corey Erdman demonstrates his knowledge of boxing.
Apparently, that's what they hired me for.
Well, there you are.
Nice left hand there from Carrillo as he misses over the top with a follow-up shot.
I would hire you every time,
would you?
Corey. Yes, if it were always up to me, you'd do every boxing match there is. And you're pretty darn close right now.
All right, perfect. Debbie, if you're listening, call Al directly.
Exactly.
Final 15 seconds here of round 3. Lenin Castillo showing a little bit more life here in round 3, but he just walked right in to a sneaky left hand, as Raul described it. That's the kind of shot that Carrillo is looking for. A little Latvian action coming your way. Dream boxing as Lucas Bastida looks to maintain his perfect record as he takes on Bodan Sobal. That's live from Latvia this Saturday on DAZN.
Here we see that explosiveness by Carrillo. Those shots, you know, they landed, but then, you know, he got caught there by a solid jab by Castillo. Carrillo had his chin up in the air, too. That's one thing that he also does. He carries his chin up in the air a little bit too much. We saw it in his last fight against Rankin, and he's doing it tonight. He needs to tuck it in a little bit more. Hide his chin.
Van Sicklen took advantage of that a little bit, did he
Yes,
not,
he did.
in that fight? You announced that fight.
Yep.
A stiff jab there from Castillo. Again, showing that habit that Carrillo has of where he carries his head, the chin up in the air. And
He just got hit by a right hand again.
Yeah. Well,
I'm telling you, he's got to tuck that chin in or carry his hands up higher, too. You don't want to get caught with those kind of shots.
I think, without a doubt, it makes shots like those look worse than maybe they otherwise would have been.
It snaps his head back, and the judges see that, And you're giving this the fighter confidence, too, by he's allowed him to land those shots.
Nice uppercut there from Castillo a moment ago, but now Carrillo going to work right on top of us.
This is what we hoped for in this fight. A really good back and forth between these two fighters. And it's partially because Carrillo was being aggressive, but then Castillo said, I'm going to match you punch for punch.
Yeah, I think it's more Carrillo that's given us that toe-to-toe match. I mean, he said it in the fight minutes, I want the knockout. I'm going to look for the knockout. And it seems now in this 4th round, Corey, that he's really trying to close that gap and go toe-to-toe and get the knockout.
I'll tell you what Carrillo has to be concerned about, though. He's being very aggressive, and already a couple of the counter left hooks that Castillo just missed with have come very close. He knocked Marcus Brown down with one of those counter left hooks, Castillo.
Yeah.
And he can land that punch.
He's got to be very careful when he throws those combinations because he is taking risks. Carrillo's taking more risk, and Castillo's not taking risks, so he's just waiting to counter and, you know, maybe get lucky to catch him. So that's where Carrillo has to be careful. You're right, Al.
Couple good right hands there from Castillo. That got his corner excited. And listen, this is the high wire act that pure punchers like Carrillo walk, right? I mean, they take risks and they put themselves in danger because they're confident in their power, as Carrillo very obviously is as he throws his shots and talks to Castillo at the same time.
Yeah, he keeps closing the distance, giving him feints now. He's trying to walk over him. He's trying to walk him down. And I'm telling you, Castillo, he's waiting to counter. But Carrillo's very fast on his feet. As soon as he sees Castillo walking forward, he takes a step back or 2 steps back. And again, Castillo's too slow on his feet. He can't close that distance, Corey.
Another good round for Juan Carrillo here, skirting a little bit of danger as he opens up a little bit more.
This is the early part of the round where we saw this really good exchange between both men. Castillo doing some good work and then Carrillo coming back. And Castillo trying to counter off the ropes as Carrillo was aggressive to him. And Carrillo's used that pawing jab to kind of find a way to land the straight left, and he does it there. That was I think one of the best rounds of the fight.
So round 5 begins. Juan Carrillo and Lenin Castillo. As you see on the screen, a regional IBF title on the line as well. So essentially what that means is, aside from getting the trinket itself, you'd get a boost in the rankings. And both these fighters believe that this fight, a win in it, could produce potentially a title shot. I think that's far more likely for Carrillo than it would be for Castillo.
Well, Carrillo is ranked in the top 15 by 3 of the sanctioning bodies, WBA, WBO, and IBF. And so, yes, if he can get a win here, it would push him up the ladder, and it could put him into some kind of title eliminator situation, potentially.
Good body work there from Carrillo. And that footwork, Raul, that you pointed out, I mean, it looks oftentimes where Carrillo carries his hands, his chin is up a little bit, like he's always in danger, but he's got some sneaky footwork. He's always stepping out of range at just the right time.
Yeah, not only sneaky footwork, but sneaky hands. You know, the way he throws that left hand either to the body or over the top, he's fast and explosive with it, and that's given Castillo a lot of problems. The speed and the footwork, he's not able to deal. See, like right there, he took a step back, Carrillo, and Castillo's way far off. He can't catch him.
And it looks like plan A for Castillo is that one of these times Carrillo won't be that quick in stepping out, and he's going to eat one of these big left hooks.
Well, the only way that's going to get that way is if he applies more pressure and hits the body and tries to bully him, make it a fight. He's got to wear him down. I mean, we're halfway through the fight. I think it's time for Castillo to put more pressure and pose his size, his strength, all his experience. I mean, this guy went the distance with Marcus Brown, Bevo, like you said. So that's what we need to see from Castillo.
Stiff jab there from Castillo, but he walks right into that left hand from Carrillo.
Carrillo's being smart now. You know, he attacks and then he kind of baits him in. You see how he goes back and kind of jabs, and waits for him to come in, and then counters with that left hand, picks him. Too slow. Castillo, one shot he's not going to do it with Castillo.
In that fight a little less than a year ago against Alberto Ramirez, in the latter part of the fight, Castillo was starting to get his offense rolling, so he'd like to repeat that here. As Raul points out, it's getting to be that time where you have to start getting something going. And against another undefeated lefty, he was able to do that, even though it wasn't enough to get him the decision to win.
And in that fight, Castillo kind of helped expose one of the flaws that Albert Ramirez has, that he fades a little bit in the second half of fights. We'll see if perhaps Carrillo has that same weakness, but right now, he is rolling just the same way he was in round 1.
the left hand of Castillo, Carrillo, has been very, very effective, and they've earned some congratulations from Castillo. And there's the right hook of Carrillo. You know, it is wrong to think he's one-dimensional and only the straight left is there for him.
So Juan Carrillo and Lenin Castillo back to work here in round 6. Carrillo co-promoted by DeBella Entertainment and Salida Promotions, hoping that perhaps they have a legit 175 contender on their hands in Carrillo, who offered to step in and face Dimitri Bivol when he was looking for an opponent last year. Of course, Bivol found a different opponent and then ultimately the opponent that he wanted just last weekend. But Carrillo trying to prove that he is a name that should be mentioned when we're talking about the best light heavyweights in the world.
You mentioned the question of the latter part of the fight against Van Sicklen. There was a few signs of a little bit of fatigue by Carrillo. Not dramatic, but there's body work by Castillo, and he hopes that would lead to, you know, slowing Carrillo down.
He needs more of that. Castillo needs more of that activity. And we saw Carrillo look at us and shake his head no.
Yeah, I know. Did he hear me?
The last fight that we did, he was talking to me.
Well, he knows that he's looking down at you and saying, that was a pretty tough lefty. I'd like to
I know a
be
little
like
bit
him.
about left-handers.
Yeah, you know, and you know a little something about body work.
Absolutely, yes.
There's some more body work from Carrillo. Hard left hand right to the midsection of Castillo. As Castillo trying to creep forward a little bit.
I want to see more feints by Carrillo. When he throws that jab, you know, feint. If you notice, you see when he feints, you see what Castillo kind of does. And sometimes he feints and then he kind of opens up. And we see Carrillo land the left hand, Corey.
Yeah, you're seeing the reaction from Castillo when Carrillo feints. He's kind of tucking his right elbow into his midsection. He's dipping at the knees. He's trying to just catch those shots. But Carrillo also has to be careful, Raul, as you know, to not kind of get lulled to sleep, not get drawn into this pattern of just hitting arms, and then eating something big from Castillo.
Or maybe he's just, you know, comfortable with that kind of attack, and maybe he's just going to go into survival mode.
This has
and
been,
just say, I went 10 rounds.
Yeah.
This has been one of the better rounds for Castillo.
It has.
You know, whether he's winning it or not is a question, but I'll tell you what, he's done great work downstairs and has found a home for the lead right hand.
Yeah, we saw that right hand a moment ago from Castillo. Might not have been enough to give him this round as he eats a couple more left hands right before the bell. Round 7 begins. It's incredible to think that about a decade ago, Juan Carrillo really considered just walking away from boxing entirely. He lost a fight in the 2016 Olympic qualifiers in Azerbaijan, and he told everyone that he was done. Amazing to think that this guy we're seeing just oozing confidence, sometimes to his own detriment, actually thought that there was no place for him in this sport about 10 years ago.
It shows you how mercurial boxing can be, and especially the Olympics, they can be so devastatingly disappointing for many reasons.
See the additional tape that was applied to the braids of Lenin Castillo falling off nearly immediately. Had to be pocketed by the official. Might be a little bit of a distraction that Castillo has to deal with here.
This fight is such that it's almost, and it's been Castillo's major problem. When he's forced to fight, he does. But if he's not forced by Carrillo to fight, he doesn't.
Well, and I think that speaks to Raul's point from last round. Maybe there is a fight here where Carrillo just kind of hangs out on the outside, Castillo lets him hit him on the arms, and he cruises to a 10-round decision. Or will Carrillo try and force the issue like he's doing right now as he lands a beautiful right hook?
I think Carrillo needs to keep up with that pace, keep him there on the ropes. I'm not too sure if Castillo can keep up with that pace.
See a warning for the use of the head for Carrillo there a moment ago as he meets Castillo with a nice straight left hand. Hard body shot there from Castillo, but that was a little bit low. And Carrillo now having a conversation with Castillo's corner as well.
Well, what the heck? I mean, Castillo blamed him for headbutting him a while ago, so then Castillo comes back and hits him a little bit low. I mean, hey, that's boxing. I got to get him back some way or another.
Another body shot there from Castillo. That one legal. You saw the deep breath from Carrillo a moment ago.
Carrillo didn't take very much time after that either. He went right back in.
Solid body shots there, Brian. Carrillo, he needs more of them.
Well, he's maybe a little bit fired up by that body shot, or excuse me, that low blow.
There he goes. He hears us.
This has been a good round. Both men have done some interesting offensive work, and some of it legal, I might add.
Closing seconds of a very animated round 7 as Carrillo continues to dominate. Season 6 Kings Grand Slam Tennis Tournament comes to a close on Saturday. Don't miss the final matches live here on DAZN.
There was Carrillo, that overhand left over the top, landed body shots. Just going toe-to-toe. I think he got the best of those exchanges. I want to see more of those exchanges in the next couple of rounds, and I think we're going to see that from Carrillo because he wants that knockout, Al.
He does. He would like the comparison to the other people that could not get Castillo out of there. He wants to put his imprint on by getting it.
And of course, you also got to give it to Castillo, man. He's durable. He's got a really good chin. He's taking some big shots.
There's a really interesting dynamic vibe, however you want to qualify it here in this fight, where we have some of these vicious exchanges along the ropes, but you also have two men who are smiling at one another during them and talking to one another and also talking to us.
Yeah, that's really a good point. I mean, it's operating on a weird dual track right now.
They're yelling in Castillo's corner, vamos para adelante, let's come forward. They want him to come forward. That was a headbutt.
Clash of heads, and you saw Castillo turn away immediately. That was a bad one.
Is anybody cut?
But it is not presenting as bad as it sounded, because we heard the crack.
That was, yeah.
Of head on jaw. Well, we'll get right back to action.
Well, we're heading into the final rounds, and Castillo is 0-2 in 10-rounders. Also, he lost a 12-round battle to Bivol. And Carrillo's been 10 rounds only once. That was the fight in which he beat Richard Van Sicklen in a very close decision.
Good work from Castillo there, working his way off the ropes. This combination punctuated by that left hook to the body. We'll wait and see if we see a change in approach from Castillo.
He's
here.
backing up, yeah.
Because if Castillo has any interest in winning rounds and not just hunting for that knockout shot, he would have to change something up at this point, would he not?
Absolutely, absolutely. But it doesn't look like it, Corey. He's backing up. He's getting caught with everything Carrillo throws at him. 3 and 4 punch combinations. He's covering up. To me, he's more in the survival mode. I don't even think he's even trying to set up Carrillo to try to land a big shot.
Yeah, and the big one that would come would be that counter left hook, and he hasn't really thrown that punch. I agree with you, Raul. He's not really quite trying to set him up for that.
I think Carrillo needs to turn it up more. But does he have the conditioning to turn it up more? I mean, you got 2 rounds. It could still be done.
Yeah, and does he actually need to? Maybe, but maybe not.
Maybe he's happy with just going to winning by decision 2. Got the rounds in.
We're assuming
Nothing to
he's
be ashamed
ahead.
of. Yeah.
And one more low blow, at least.
I think that was
according
hit
to
him after the
Carrillo,
was it a
and
low blow
after
or
the bell.
okay, yeah.
A double foul.
We need a little bit of action like that. Come on, guys.
With 2 to go here in our co-feature between Juan Carrillo and Lenin Castillo. Juan Carrillo, the 2nd-generation fighter. His father, also a professional boxer. And Carrillo, as Al mentioned, world-ranked by 3 of the 4 major sanctioning bodies. And looking to pick up a regional IBF title here tonight.
And for Castillo at age 36, right now, these 2 rounds, pretty vital for him because a loss here tonight would really set him back in his hopes of still being a contender in this weight class.
For sure. I mean, he might have to settle just, being an opponent for guys like Carrillo.
Exactly, yeah.
He's going to need something big in these final 2 rounds.
Yeah, you would think multiple knockdowns because just winning these last 2 rounds doesn't seem in our minds like it would be enough to win him this fight or even create a draw.
Yeah, I mean, without scoring unofficially on the fly, this feels like an 8-0, 7-1 type of fight at this juncture.
Yeah, if you're going to give a round or 2 maybe to Castillo, that would be about what you could do. We think.
Oh, yes.
That
was low.
a very low blow. Perhaps a little retribution from Carrillo.
I think I felt that one. I kind of moved a little bit. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's rough.
Yes. Gotta shake it off.
Kind of like, feels like the playoffs and some brushback pitches.
Juan Carrillo will have his conversation with a member of the audience in the 4th row interrupted to be admonished for that low blow. I don't know, Alan, your new role as talent coordinator, I mean, Juan Carrillo is calling a fight and participating in it at the same time, and he is all over Castillo right now.
Yeah, he really is. So it's interesting, he commits a foul, but can take advantage of that in a way, right? And that's what he's trying to do right now.
I think that's one of the unspoken realities of low blows, Raul, is that as long as you get away with it, your opponent has to live with that pain for a couple rounds.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's boxing,
right,
Corey?
Nice uppercut there from Carrillo, and that left hand comes right behind it. So we're inside the final 30 seconds of round 9. Carrillo just smothering Castillo and putting his shots together right now.
At the end of the day, that right hook to the body that Carrillo keeps landing, that's really been an effective punch for him in the midst of all the other punches.
Oof. Quick combination there from Castillo. Carrillo rolling with those shots with his hands at his side. And 1 to go in our co-feature.
Well, a lot happened in that last round. It was kind of a little novella. There's the work on the against the ropes. That was after a lot of the, we had the low blow and some of the other activity, and then Carrillo tried to go after it, and they had some good exchanges on those ropes, but for the most part, it was Carrillo who did most of the damage. You like that novella reference?
I like that. I didn't know you knew a little bit of Spanish, like that soap opera, huh? Like
I'm
a novella.
I'm a man of culture.
You must watch the Latino novelas.
Yeah.
10th and final round. The series finale of this telenovela between Juan Carrillo and Lenin Castillo. As Lenin Castillo looks for a shocking ending here, if he could turn things around and score what would be a miraculous come-from-behind knockout.
Well, from what I see, Carrillo's not playing it safe. I mean, he could just be happy with boxing and moving around and winning this round. You don't even have to win this round. And I mean, on my unofficial scorecard.
Yeah, it would be shocking if he was behind.
But he actually is trying to still.
Huge left hand there from Carrillo. That was the best shot of the fight.
Those fast and explosive shots, I'm telling you, are the ones that you don't see. They're the ones that hurt you and count.
And here's the thing about it. Yes, the Callum Smith knockout, kind of an aberration, but we've seen other top light heavyweights been unable to put him down or out. And so it does take some, some grit for Carrillo to go after it here in this final round when it appears he's so far ahead.
Yeah, Carrillo has been dominant, but to your point, Raul, he hasn't really shown evidence that he can hurt Castillo quite yet. So there may be that temptation to say, you know what, let me just take the UD here.
He hit him with his best shots early on, the middle of the fight, even here at the end, and he really hasn't been able to rock him. He pushed him back, but I never saw Castillo actually be hurt, Corey.
Castillo letting some shots go there, at least briefly, but now again just gets walked back to the ropes and eats a nice left hand again from Carrillo. Hard left hand again. He aimed that one at the chest. It hit the chin of Castillo.
But Carrillo got hit too.
Yes,
with
he
the right.
did.
I
did.
I thought he was kind of going down the way he moved.
I agree.
I think he bent right into it, Al. And that's what happened. Yes.
That was one of those counter punches that Castillo's been looking for in this fight.
Carrillo was wide open. That chin was right there.
But Castillo didn't really take advantage of it, did he?
No. And again, Castillo got hit with a shot of his own in that exchange. As Carrillo forced to a knee as we enter the final 10 seconds of this contest. Some late surges of power from both men. This should be a fairly simple one to score.
I would think so.
You know, it's interesting, and it will be a probably pretty easy one to score. That fight had a lot of drama in it for a fight that was going to be scored in a very potentially one-sided way.
Tremendous crowd here in San Juan at the Coca-Cola Music Hall. But a reminder that on Saturday is the Battle of the Giants as Francis Ngannou returns to MMA and challenges heavyweight champion Renan Ferreira. Don't miss that one. It's live here on DAZN.
Francis Ngannou is hard to root against, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. To say the very least.
You know, for Carrillo, we mentioned the ranking. You know, he's in the top 15. You have to look at a performance like this and say it wouldn't be untoward for him to boost up a couple of notches based on this performance.
Yeah, and you would think that winning the regional IBF title that's on the line here would trigger that. And again, Carrillo looking to really establish himself in that chase pack of light heavyweights.
And we're seeing in boxing a lot of big matches that are not for titles, but are important and are being a good commerce for fighters. We could see that happen in the light heavyweight division as Beterbiev and Bivol maybe are preoccupied still with each other, depending on whether there's a rematch.
Yeah, and we've got new and exciting names in the division in Morel and Benavidez and many more. Lots of options out there for Carrillo. Well, looks like the scorecards are in the hands of Thomas Treiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Charlie Ruiz scores it 99-91, 99-91. Judge Luis Ruiz scores it 100-90, 100-90. And Judge Jose R. Torres scores it 98-92, 98-92. For your winner by unanimous decision, para el ganador por decisión unánime. And now the IBF Latino Light Heavyweight Champion, Juan Carrillo.
So Juan Carrillo picks up up a wide unanimous decision victory. You heard the scores, 99-91, 100-90, and 98-92. Certainly, Al, in line with how we saw it.
Yeah, 4 of the losses that Castillo's had have been to undefeated fighters, now make that 5. And we look back at this fight in microcosm, and we see that early on, Carrillo was very aggressive in those first few rounds and was landing big power punches and kind of set the tone for this fight. There would be occasions where Castillo would come back with rallies like that, especially when he was in the countering mode, but there wasn't enough of them to win him rounds. And instead it was Carrillo that kept the pace up throughout the fight, landing good combinations, not just the straight left, which of course he's kind of known for, but also the right hook, and continued to do the body work over the course of the entire fight. And yes, especially in that latter portion of the fight, we saw some offensive action from Castillo, but not nearly enough.
So a big